Hello. Welcome back to the fruit of Grisaia. I'm so worried for Yuuji now. The shower turns out to be a full-blown rainstorm, continuing well into the night. My room's filled with the rushing sound of the rain outside. I sit in bed and listen, completely unable to sleep. Insomnia is not exactly uncommon for me, but today it's not the usual variety. I just can't get that conversation with JB out of my head long enough to nod off. Sakaki Yumiko. Honestly, I didn't give her that much thought at first. Our first encounter certainly left a strong impression, but since then she's tended to fade into the background as often as not. For one thing, I've always tried to not to get too deeply involved with my classmates, and she's a deeply private person herself. At some point, I recognized we were pretty similar in that regard. Little by little, I developed something of an interest in her. And right now, she's weighing on my mind more heavily than anything else. Sitting up in my bed, I push the curtain open and look outside. It's coming down even harder than I'd expected. Staring at the drops of water bouncing off my window, I feel my thoughts suddenly lurch inward. Something almost like nausea wells up inside me. From the bottom of my throat, the depths of my mind, something ugly pushes its way to the surface. Think about myself? Those were JB's instructions from this afternoon, weren't they? Funny thing to ask of a pet dog. In between rough breaths, a few self-deprecating words spill out of my mouth. I'm a dog, raised and trained on taxpayer money to accomplish certain jobs. They allow me the bare pretense of humanity, but that privilege is conditional on my absolute loyalty and success. And now I'm on the verge of ignoring orders outright, opposing Ichigaya for the sake of one woman. Is it alright to betray your country to help a single person? My master never taught me the answer to that one. Sakaki, what do you want to do? A girl whose mother disappeared into a deep fog, a young woman betrayed by her father, a human being who lost sight of herself, consumed by a sense of meaninglessness. Staring at my faint reflection in the window, I ask Sakaki Yumiko a question. I know there's no answer waiting for me. Even Sakaki probably doesn't have one. But at this rate, she won't have the luxury of indecision for much longer. The drumbeat of the rain against my window finally dies down. In the silence, the darkness outside seems to grow thicker and more menacing. Resting both hands on the window, I continue to ask the night questions without answers. It feels like dawn may never come. And the next morning, we're blessed with such pleasant weather that it's hard to believe that storm passed us by only hours before. By only hours before. Even so, Sakaki gives no sign of leaving her room. It's just about the time when she'd usually be heading out for the riverbank, but she doesn't even appear in the lobby. Her shoes sit untouched in the cabinet, slowly gathering dust. In only a few days, that simple daily routine has vanished, leaving nothing but a void behind. And yet again, I have nothing to do but stand around engaging in silent soliloquies. Michiru and Amane eventually invite me on a shopping trip. Probably found it a little hard to watch me guarding Sakaki's invisible after image. It didn't seem like Sakaki was likely to step outside of her room today, so I decided to accept.
いや、ごめんね、ユージ。車もバイクも調子悪くてさ。その上いろいろと買うものだけはあって、ちょっと困ってたのよね。
We picked up a bunch of small miscellaneous items for Amane on the previous shopping trip, but today it's mainly bulky items like tissue paper and rice. All three of us have our hands pretty full by the end. Definitely would have been difficult with just the two girls. I don't really mind. Also, the Simbar is one thing, but I'm having a really hard time imagining you carrying 10 kilos of rice on that motorcycle.
まあ、そりゃそうよね。
I can just see her roaring down the street on that ridiculously low-riding chopper she calls Bobotaro, with a big sack of rice strapped to her back like some backwoods grandma. Then again, Amane puttering along happily in a prototypical country mini truck packed to the gills with provisions would also be pretty comical, but... Unlike the first case, it's funny because she looks so perfectly appropriate in that picture. Probably better not to mention it.
ああ、もう。このトイレットペーパーってやつはなんでこう指が痛くなる作りにしてんのよ。お客様サポート機能してんの？
I don't know. Temporary lowering a package of 12 recycled paper rolls onto the ground. Michiru shakes her hands in pain. Her index and middle fingers are already marked with bright red lines. No way to get around it when you're carrying those things.
じゃあこれ使う？こないだマキナに届いてた荷物の持ち手なんだけどさ。おお、引っ越しの時に使う緑のあれじゃん。使う。すごいわね、アマネ。なんでこんなの持ってんのよ。いや、なんか使うかなって思って持ってたんだけどさ。さあ、まあね、助けてもらって言うのもなんだけどさ、あんた本当におば。皆まで言わなくてもいいわよ。とっくに自覚してるからさ。どうでもいいものをつい取っておく癖抜けないのよね。大丈夫よ。男ってそういう母性のある女には弱いって聞くしさ。ほら、ユージからも何か言ってやってよ。ねえ。
What? My listener's response is met with two vaguely reproachful glares. What's with the look and the groaning?
またしてもうちら置いてけぼりっすか。置いてけぼりっすね。今日これで3回目っすね。
Do me a favor and cut it out with the synchronized scorn. And what do you mean the third time? They answer my question with a pair of exaggerated American-style shrugs. After another set of deep, simultaneous sighs, they begin talking to each other instead of me.
聞きましたか、マネさん。この野郎、さっきまでの2回のスルーはカウントすらしてなかったみたいっすよ。マジ空気っすね。 何もないっすね。こっちは気遣って話しかけてんのにマジ空気っすよ。やってられねえっすよ。
So it would seem I've fallen out of the conversation twice before without even realizing it. Putting aside this irritating little routine, I do feel slightly guilty about whiffing on their thoughtful attempts to feed me setup lines. Yeah, I guess I was a little lost in thought. Didn't mean to ignore you guys. Sorry about that. Amane and Michiru glanced at each other and exchanged brief, slightly tired little sighs. But when Amane turns back to look me in the eye, there's an oddly gentle expression on her face.
榊さんのことよね。
Yeah, that's right. Saw right through me. It's times like these that make you realize women control the world on a pretty fundamental level.
まあ心配よね。解雇されたとは言っても、あの子の周りに何も起こらないって保証があるわけじゃないし、そもそも何が起こってるのかもよく分かってないしね。
How has Sakaki been doing lately from what you've seen? Anything noticeably different? Amane shakes her head slowly.
パッと見は変わんないけど、やっぱ少し落ち込んでるっぽいわね。マキナがいつもの調子で突っ込んでも寂しそうな顔して「そうね」とか言ってるだけだもんね。普段のユミコとは明らかに違うというか。
I see. Sakaki's trying to at least appear calm around me. But even so, it seems she isn't completely able to hide the turmoil underneath the surface.
まあそのさ、私には難しくてわかんないけど、あんたまでそんなんじゃみんな一緒くたで落ち込んじゃうからさ。とりあえず空元気だけでも出しときなって。そうそう、ここでごちゃごちゃ考えててもしゃあないわけやし、家戻ったらごちそう作ったるさかい、それ食べて元気出しやな。
Well, I'm happy they're trying to help. Amane delivers this line with a guffaw and a friendly smack to my rear. My butt. Not only am I able to help Sakaki, I've ended up getting my classmates worried about me. Truly pathetic. What am I supposed to do? Yet again, I find myself mired in a simple question that has no clear answer. What's that? Just as we're getting close to the dorm, I notice something slightly out of place. It's the sound of multiple engines moving away from the entrance.
なんか車の音したよね。学園長は夏休みでいないはずだし、何なんだろう。
Amane is the only one here with a motor vehicle of any kind, so it's pretty rare to hear engines running this close to the school. The principal and JB would be the main suspects, but as Michiru pointed out, the former is on vacation, and the latter wouldn't just disappear before I came back. Spurred by a sudden sense of unease, I set off toward the dorm at a run.
あ、ユージ？どうしたのよ急に。
The instant I open the dorm's front door, Makina comes running up to me. What happened, Makina?
いきなり マーキーな、落ち着いて何があったか話して。急だったのよさ。ママ姉たちが買い物に出かけてすぐぐらいに車が急に止まって。ほんで、ユミちゃんはいるかって聞かれて、私が答えないでいたら無理やりにでも中に入るぞって脅してきて。怪我とかなかったの？あんた大丈夫だったの？怪我とかさせられる前にユミちゃんから出てきちゃったのよさ。
Sakaki came out. Makina grunts repeatedly.
ユミちゃん、これ以上みんなに迷惑かけられないからって荷物を持ってきて、そのまま車に乗っちゃったのよさ。そんな。どこ行くかとか言ってなかった？
This time, the girl slowly shakes her head from side to side.
一言も言わなかったのよさ。みんな黙ったままですごく怖かったの。そっか、よしよし。
Amane hugs the anxious-looking Makina close and begins to lightly stroke her head. Lightly stroke her
Yuuji,
head.
どうしたの？顔怖いよ。
Michiru looks up at me, uneasiness in her eyes. You went with them voluntarily. Is this really what you want, Sakaki? An image of Sakaki's desolate expression on the night she dismissed me floats to the surface of my mind. A message? An electronic chime from my cell phone temporarily interrupts my line of thought. Sakaki! When I read those lines, the face that flashes before my eyes don't belong to Sakaki. Doesn't belong to Sakaki. It's the face of a woman who once spoke the same words to me over and over again. A woman who never accomplished anything, never broke free. And then a man with an angular face, reaching his hands out for me, swinging his fists mercilessly into my face. Into my face. The memories seem to rise up out of the tiny LCD screen and push their way into the present. That idiot! Closing the cell phone, I snap out the words reflexively.
Yuuji? どうしたの？何かあったの？
Ignoring their concern, I fire off a question at Makina. Makina, what was the model and color of the cars, and how many were there? I see. Nodding, I glance quickly around the room one final time. I'm going.
Yuuji! ちょっとあんたどこ行く気なの?
That's the last thing I want to hear from you, Sakaki. I'm sick of it. I won't hesitate anymore. We both made mistakes, but I'm not about to let us repeat them. I sprint toward the front gate as fast as I can. Curses. The pair of cars carrying Sakaki already left a minute or two ago. For the moment, I need to get my hands on something I can use to pursue them. But of course, there aren't any cars conveniently lying around with the key in the ignition. Mani's motorcycle and sandbar are out of commission too. What do I do? Just as I'm running through various possibilities in my head. I hear someone humming a cheerful tune, soon followed by a carefree greeting.
お戻りでしたか。
Sachi's returned on a bicycle. Judging from the tranquil smile on her face, it seems she missed the earlier commotion entirely. Sachi, that's... Her bike is a medium-sized modern model with small tires, more than a little out of sync with the maid uniform. Sachi lowers herself to the ground easily with a little whoopsie-daisy, then lowers the kickstand with one smooth movement of her leg. Mini Vewa, eh?
はい、そうです。さすがは風見さん、よくご存知で。
An ivory-colored frame with two cute little wheels on either ends. Since the tire diameter is small, it's easy to get it moving quickly. Even knew a few guys in my company with a passion for these things.
ここ最近ウィーグレから毎日のようにメールが届いてまして、それで思い切って買ってしまった次第です。あ、ウィーグレというのはイギリスの通販サイトなんですが、風見さんご存知でしたか？
No, what is that? I've heard people say these things are small, but well made. Looks like it's true. With a few quick movements, I inspect the handles, seat, and the quality of the tires. Looks like she might have bought a slightly customized model. The frame seems to have been strengthened in places to endure bumpier conditions. This area does have a lot of unsurfaced or poorly maintained roads, very typical of Sachi to account for these things in advance.
直訳すると、ヘイサチ、ポンドがボロ安で自転車安いからフィッシュ&チップス感覚でチャリでも買わないかいとか、そんな感じなんですが、そうそう、そもそもミニベロのベロというのはフランス語で自転車を意味してるんですが、
Tachi, you think I could ride this without issues?
はい、もちろんです。整備も万全ですよ。試しに軽く乗ってみますか？
Sounds good. I swing myself onto the mini vela and put my feet on the pedals.
うわ、早速乗ってくださるんですか？それは何よりです。今しがた油も差したばかりなので、実に素晴らしい走行性能が確保でき。で、風見さん？
See you later.
ヤッホー！ミハモライダーかっこいい！ あれ？
Its wheels whistling cheerfully, Sachi's mini vela zips jauntily along the road. I'm a rider. This thing's fundamentally designed for riding around town, but fortunately it's capable of reaching a decent speed as well. The cycle computer installed in the center indicates an average velocity of around 35 kilometers per hour. Can't compete with a motorcycle or anything, but it's still excellent performance for the size. This really is going to be tough. That said, I'm up against motor vehicles and they have a head start. There's a decent amount of traffic since it's summer vacation and all, but they can still leave me in the dust easily enough. I'm not going to get anywhere at this rate. Fortunately, they're traveling on a window-winding, narrow prefectural road of the sort you'll often find on this type of small peninsula. Country roads present their own opportunities for the experienced rider. With a little skill and luck, it might be possible to catch them even riding a mini velo with a maximum speed of 50 kilometers per hour. Assuming that the cars are headed for the metropolitan area, the entrance to the toll road 15 kilometers ahead will probably be my last chance to catch them. Any further than that, and a bicycle just won't be enough. Alright. I feel bad for Sachi, but I'm going to have to treat this thing a little roughly. Leaning heavily to the right, I turn the bicycle onto a farm road that leads to a nearby mountain. The tires crunch through rough pebbles. My whole body's jolted by small impacts running up through the frame. Soon, I'm surrounded by forest. The trail ahead is one of the more blatant examples of a bad road you're ever likely to see. Still, I push forward without hesitating. Within seconds, leaves and branches are slapping heavily against my face and arms from all sides. I'd been prepared for a badly maintained road from the start, but this almost exceeds my expectations. Truly terrible conditions. This region was once used as an army maneuvering ground. Wouldn't surprise me if this thing dates back to those days. Designers clearly weren't interested in ensuring a pleasant or easy ride. It's impossible to avoid catching the tires on the natural holes and rocks that litter the path. I struggle along as best I can, using the handles and my own weight to avoid the worst obstacles. Still, no matter how skillfully I ride, my speed keeps falling. My feelings of impatience are giving way to outright frustration. Even so, this is a definite shortcut. Cutting straight through will get me to my objective much more quickly than following that meandering road around and around. Lowered my head, I pumped the pedals as fast as possible, warding off branches with one hand when necessary. The slope of the road begins to grow slightly easier. Eventually, the overhanging trees begin to thin out as well. And suddenly, my field of vision expands dramatically. Seems I've reached the summit of this foothill. The trail's increasingly level underneath me, and it's less of a challenge to move the pedals. Best of all, the practically non-existent road finally changes to something more worthy of the name. Alright, there you are. I catch a glimpse of two black sedans on the prefectural road stretching out below. Cars like that aren't common around here, and they're exactly as Makina described them. Sakaki has to be in one or the other. Oh, now it's just a question of catching up, I guess. Okay, Yuuji, that winding road they're following only continues for another 7 kilometers or so. I gotta somehow get ahead of them and set up an ambush before they get off. Weird. Doesn't help that I don't know exactly where they're going. The city's my best guess, and since they're on this road, I can speculate they're trying to take the highway, but I have no proof. Just after her. If they take a different route, I'm SOL either way. At this point, I realize that the cell phone in my vest pocket is vibrating. Amane? 8 missed calls. They must have been startled by a sudden exit. Could always just fill her in later, but I just feel bad to make them worry too much. I decide to answer the call. That you, Amane? I think you're aware, but I'm sort of in the middle of something. Let's talk later. sorry about that. I'll get in touch once things have calmed down a little. What? Look, I'm trying to follow the cars in question. Don't really have time to... I see, so that's what this is about. Sorry. That would be a help. Did Sakaki get in touch or something? Not perfectly, but we should be able to hold a conversation. What's this information? I'm following the Mishima Cape coastline. The cars are heading north on the Prefectural Road, and I'm taking a bad mountain road running almost parallel. Bit of a shortcut. No, I guess they were heading to Tokyo since Sakaki's father was involved. Am I wrong? Come to think of it, I think Sakaki mentioned this before. Apparently, it was built more or less for the exclusive use of the company's top brass in their family's, her company, not my company. Stuck in my mind as a particularly impressive example of late capitalist excess. Yeah, now that you mention it, but I'd heard they weren't using it anymore. Seriously? I see. Makes sense. I can't do a thing if they ship her out of here in the air. That heliport isn't far from the interchange leading to the highway. Maybe 700 or 800 meters. It's entirely plausible given their current position, and it's hard to think the unusual situation there is a coincidence. Forget fishy. It's probably where they're taking her. Alright, I'm going to end the call. Thanks. It's helpful to know their destination, but that doesn't make this chase any easier. Once she gets on that helicopter, it's game over. I absolutely have to catch up before then somehow. But seriously, this road is the worst. Branches slap against my face, vines catch in my hair, and the rocks randomly lying across the ground are constantly slowing the rotation of my tires. This is why I'm scared. I'm worried. Yuuji, careful. So cars visible only for brief moments in between gaps in the trees seem to slowly be pulling further away. My odds of catching up are getting longer. I'm going to need some luck at this point. The mountain road I chose as a shortcut was ideal in terms of distance. At full speed, I might have gotten ahead of them by now. but riding on hilly terrain while pushing my way through thick undergrowth cost me even more time than I expected. I had to take advantage of the time lost when they disembarked. It's not like they can just drive the whole car onto the helicopter. At the very least, it'll take them a minute or two to get everyone out of the car and into the chopper. Now that they've pulled ahead, I can only hope that gives me the chance I need to close the gap. Practically tumbling down the descending path branching off the mountain trail, I finally rejoined the prefectural road. The heliport in question is only 400 or 500 meters ahead, but the cars are no longer visible. I have to hear the loud sound of him biking on the road as he's saying all of this. Can I make it? Ignoring the traffic light ahead, I let my momentum carry me across the intersection, weaving between the cross traffic. My ears ring from a dozen honking horns as I rush directly toward the heliport. A small facility on a sprawling plot of land surrounded by fences comes into view. This has got to be it, if I remember the map correctly. With a powerful squeal from the brakes, I force the bike from its maximum speed to a halt. Oh. Too late. Just as I'm rolling up to the fence, the sound of a helicopter rotor fills the air. There are ways to get a chopper back on the ground, but few that involve it staying in one piece, and none that are available to me now. And following a car is one thing, but chasing a helicopter on a mini Velo would just be absurd. I mean, forget a mini Vela. No matter what kind of vehicle you have, keeping up with that thing from the ground is going to be very close to impossible. So much for that plan. I watch as the helicopter slowly rises into the sky and turns its nose to the west. For some reason, the direction of its flight strikes me as a little strange. Wait, they're not going to the city? The helicopter is heading almost directly away from Tokyo. It maintains a course to the west, flying parallel to the Shonan coastline. If I remember correctly, to the west of here, there's... But as I'm thinking about the helicopter's possible destination... A completely out-of-place Kansai drawl rings out in the dry summer air. What, you talking to me? Compared to Amani's relatively soft Kyoto dialect, he's got a seriously strong accent, probably from the Kawachi area. I see. In other words, my presence in the middle of the road is obstructing your passage. Oh, is there a sidewalk right there? He's got a dome of hair bleached such a blinding blonde that even Machir would bow down, and a sharp beak nose that actually works for him somehow. Expensive clothes too. About the last guy you'd expect to have such a thick trouble. A character redesign might be in order. But that blonde hair isn't the only thing that clashes with the Kansai accent. Once I get a look at the car he's driving, my eyes stop moving entirely. A Gauri spider? What's a car like this doing here? of all the out-of-place things in front of me, this is without a doubt the most bizarrely misplaced of all. Okay. It's the Lamborghini company's signature model, an extreme luxury sports car on the class of a Ferrari, with a sticker price that could buy you a nice chunk of real estate. Lamborghini.
わかったるやんけ。しかもこれは特注品やね。うちの親父な、東河内の商工会議所におんねんけど、そこがなんや知らんけどイタリーと提携しとってんな。言うたらあかんけど、時速300キロ出せんねんでこれ。
It's a nice Lamborghini you got there. You don't say.
ビビるやろ。ランボルギーニ乗ってるやつはおっても、こんなんに乗ってるのはわしぐらいやで。ちょっと兄ちゃん、ベタベタ触らんとってんか。
Yeah, this thing's about as fast as they come. Seriously hard to believe I'm seeing a car like this in Japan.
まあせやな、俺もこうもうちょいそれ相応の場所に行ったらバーッとスピード出すねんけどな。日本やと捕まってしまうさかいにな。
Anyway, you've seriously got a nice ride here.
なあ、もう分かったやろ。わしパーティー行かなあかんねん。はよどいてくれんと時間に間に合わん。
Waiting it close to the man's beak nose, I speak in a very deliberate tone of voice. A very nice ride.
Huh?
Oh, what the? In inverse proportion to the man's fading shriek, the needle in the speedometer soars steadily upward. This face. Amazing. It's my first time actually riding in one of these things. The acceleration is powerful enough to make my whole body tremble. If this was a carefree joyride, I'd be perfectly content to tear around all day in this thing. This is a truly magnificent car.
せやから言ってたやろ。なんぼしたと思っとんねん。
It's impossible to hold a conversation unless they quite literally scream at each other. From what my new friend tells me, the car itself hasn't been remodeled in any way, but it still roars as loudly as any hot rod I've ever seen. Absolutely not the sort of car you should be shipping to Japan, of all places.
おお、スピード出しすぎやろ。兄ちゃん、スピード見てな、頼む。
Puttering around town doing the speed limit in a monster like this would just be disrespectful, don't you think? As the man's pressed back into his seat by the G-force, his attempt at speech soars incoherently into a high-pitched little shriek. In the sky ahead, the helicopter continues its calm journey west along the coast. Maybe the wind's a little rough today. For whatever reason, it's flying at a pretty relaxed pace. Hasn't been getting too far ahead of us. Of course, that'd still be completely impossible without this absolute beast of a car, but...
なあ兄ちゃん、さっきも言うたけどもやんな。車は貸してるさかい、ちゃんと時間になったら返してや。パーティー遅れたらめっちゃ怒られるね。お土産の七面鳥も持ってかんと。
I see. Wouldn't do to show up late to a party, I suppose.
せや、だからそのどこに向かっとるんかだけでも教えてくれへんか。
Sure, there's a small corporate airport not far from here.
空港
Owned and operated by East Beach Transport, a company under the East Beach Railways Group umbrella. It's mainly used for in-company freight planes carrying parts and equipment from overseas. But every once in a great while, a private jet does fly out of there, and the helicopter carrying Sakaki is headed straight for it. You understand where I'm going with this? You understand? You...
は
Man.
あわかるわけないっていうか榊って一体誰や
Once that airplane takes off, it's going to become very close to impossible for me to help Sakaki. You understand that I have to steal your car to be able to rescue her? I'd probably ship her off to some foreign school if I was in her shoes. There's always a risk of information leaking if you hide her in Japan, but that risk gets a lot smaller overseas.
Dakara, そんな裏事情はどうでもええねん。あとどんくらい借りるのか、それだけ答えてくれたらええんやって。
Right, sorry. We should be there in less than 20 minutes at this pace. Just tough it out for a while.
ほんまやろうな。マジ勘弁してや。
The helicopter seems to have increased its speed ever so slightly. It's very gradual, but I think they're starting to increase the distance between us. I'm going to pick up the pace a little.
まだあげるの？嘘やろ！ちょっともう！
Don't talk, you'll bite your tongue. The instant we turn onto a straight stretch of road, I press the gas pedal to the floor.
Hi. はい、ありがとうございます。先生のご紹介でしたら、私としても安心でして。はい、娘も本格的に英語を学びたいと前々から言っておりましたので。もちろんです。門間さんの件も含めまして、近々そちらにもお伺いしようかと思っておりまして。はい。そちら方面についてもどうぞご期待くださいませ。はい、ではこれにて失礼いたします。
入り失礼します。
状況はどうだ？
今、ヘリで空港へ向かっております。順調に行けば、明日早朝にもアメリカへ到着する予定です。
順調に行けばでは困る。万全を期したまえ。
はい。失礼いたしました。
例の軍人崩れのガキはどうした？
由美子様をお連れする時も姿は一切見えませんでした。おそらくは陸将補の命令で遠ざけられたのではないかと。
そうか。油断はしないようにな。
はい、わかりました。失礼いたします。
海外にでも運んでしまえば、そうそう変な虫もつかんだろうさ。榊家のためにもおとなしくしていてもらうぞ、由美子。
Making her go to America. The scenery flies past at astonishing speed. There's a bit more traffic now, but the oncoming cars flinch in terror the instant they see us approaching. They pull over to the shoulder one by one as we roar forward down the road. Still can't catch him. Most of my concentration is focused on manipulating the steering wheel, but every few seconds I glance over at the helicopter from the corner of my eye. It hasn't really picked up speed, but the terms of this race simply weren't fair to begin with. They're flying a direct course through the sky with no obstacles or signs to worry about, completely different from chugging along on a public road, no matter how nice your car might be. My friend's voice has by now lost almost all of its initial vigor, but he keeps up a constant stream of questions about the time. Seems he's really worried about that party of his. Okay, one more turn. It's a straight shot after this. The car drifts into the intersection, tires squealing as the rear swings out to the side. A small sign for the airport flashes past in the fraction of a second before we speed off again. Another 3 kilometers to go. I've got to beat them there and find a way to intercept their cargo. For now, I simply tear down the road running parallel to the coast at full speed. The entrance to the airport comes into view, then a small control tower and a number of nondescript cargo aircraft. Among them, there's a single plane that's conspicuously different from the others. It's a smaller craft with stripes and the East Beach Express red and blue on its flank. It has to be a passenger jet belonging to the company. And just as it's side, the helicopter we've been chasing all this time has already landed. Oh, too late again. As the crow flies, it's only 300 meters away. Close enough that I can actually see the small group of people boarding the jet. I grope desperately for some sort of solution, but even if I ran my way into the airport, there's not much I can do now that they're fully embarked. Frustrating as it is to admit, I'm out of ideas. The jet begins to taxi for takeoff practically the instant the door shuts behind the last passenger. So much for my wishful thinking about a multi-hour delay. You wait, man. Sorry, but I don't have the time to chat about your bird right now. Bird? The instant the word leaves my mouth, something occurs to me. Hey. And what would that be? I've got a question. That turkey of yours, is it frozen? It frozen?
そんなこと聞いて何になるっちゅうね。今そんなこと答えても。
Hurry.
冷凍です。保冷剤も詰めてまして、まだこっちこっちの状態やと。
I see. A wise choice. Hopping out of the driver's seat, I walk over to the passenger side of the car and lightly grab hold of the man's shoulder. You're on the wheel, alright? Just do exactly what I tell you.
おい、どういうこっちゃん。空港まで着けばええって言っとったんに。これ以上何せっちゅうね。
This time, I lean down and bellow into his ear. Hurry up!
はい。
お父様よりお聞きかとは思いますが、このまま冬季はアメリカに向かいます。
アメリカ？
はい。お聞きではありませんでしたか？
なるほど。厄介払いにはちょうど良さそうな場所ね。
後ほど資料をご用意いたします。お疲れでしょうし、 お休みになられた後にでもお目を通していただければと。
わかりました。
The car smashes through the thin fence, separating the airport from the public road with a satisfying crunch. For the runway, with the jet's already positioned for takeoff, we charge forward at maximum speed. Oh, jeez.
どないしよう。フロント直さんとあかんよな。こないだぶつけて直しちゃもらったばっかりじゃね。
Are you actually doing this? Alright, line her up right beside that jet. After that, just hold steady and keep the accelerator to the floor. While shouting instructions to my good friend, I retrieve a large, flashy box from the back seat.
ちょっと何すんねんな。それ俺の七面鳥やってなあ。
A passenger jet takes off at around 285 kilometers per hour. We should just barely be able to catch up in this thing.
おい、ちょっと話聞けや。
So is he gonna drop the turkey on the accelerator pedal? We can make it if you keep that pedal all the way down. I'm counting on you.
何すんの
I take out the enormous lump of bird flesh from its bed of cold gel packs and hold it high into the air like a championship trophy. Or what is he gonna do? The wind pressure. We're traveling at a speed sufficient to lift an airplane into the sky. The moment I stand up from behind the windshield, the air crushing past shakes my body violently. You're crazy. Somehow holding myself steady, I dig my fingers into the turkey and move my hand slightly forward. It's an absurd plan, and I don't have a chance to rehearse. I can only hope I get the timing and angle of the rope is correct. Still, I've got no choice but to try. Hey, can't you get this thing going any faster?
むっちゃいいよな、もう無理やって。それより俺の鳥どうすんねや。
It will be possible to catch up if the plane hits V1 speed. We've got to make it before then. Alright, good. Keep going like this. The car slips out from under the engine and begins to push slightly ahead. Carefully watching the distance, I wait for the right moment. Another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Now! Throwing both arms up with all my might, I fling the cold lump into the air and let the wind carry it back. The turkey soars majestically into the sky and then, instantly captured by the powerful suction of the intake, curves toward the engine. Bruno, why? What?
何の音だ。バードストライクです。エンジンに鳥を巻き込んだようです。
What?
なんだと？飛べないのか？無理です。急停止します。原因を調べろ。代わりに飛べる機の手配を急げ。はい。何か外で異変が起こったかもしれん。停止したらすぐに調べるんだ。わかりました。よし、行け。はい。どうした？
何かあったの？
大丈夫です。様子を見てまいりますので、こちらにてお待ちください。おい、今行くぞ。何があった？
何なの？一体何が？
She's sitting at the very back of the 20-seat cabin, crouching as if to hide herself. Her frightened expression changes to one of stunned astonishment the moment our eyes meet.
風
Yo, I speak in the same casual tone I always used to greet her in the classroom. Dude, you're crazy.
どうしてあなたにこれ以上迷惑をかけたくないからだから
Before Sakaki can continue, I snap open my cell phone and show her the screen.
これって私の送った
Yeah, she probably intended it to be her goodbye. But instead, those words brought me here. Again with the I'm sorry, huh? I told you not to say that anymore, didn't I? Sakaki's bewildered expression crumples. All of a sudden, she's on the verge of breaking down.
だって私あなたに本当に迷惑ばかりかけてだから謝らなきゃって思ってあなただけじゃない寮の他の子にも今まで私に関わってきて親切にしてくれた人にもみんな
Little by little, her eyes fill with tears. Her voice quavers as she wipes them away with her hands. In that case, keep going until you can repay them properly. Nobody wants your apologies, alright? Try gratitude instead.
感謝で
That's right. With a nod to Sakaki, I slowly move my hand off the seat and extend it forward. Once, when I was at absolute rock bottom, my master reached out a hand to me. And now, imitating her as best I can, I reach out to Sakaki.
風見くん
Sakaki observes my outstretched hand uncertainly. With eyes still full of hesitation, she looks up at me. To me. You're right here, Sakaki Yumiko. I can see you just fine. Come with me. For years, she's refused to acknowledge the girl in the mirror as anything but a character in a play. Shrinking back from the world, she lost her place in it entirely. And so, I begin with a simple affirmation of her existence. I'll get you out of here. I'll hold you up until you can walk, and I'll speak until you find your voice. Don't dance on anyone's strings. You can live your life however you want. I came here to show you how.
逃げるの
Not quite. I want us to search for an answer.
探す
Sakaki Yumiko is a daughter of the Sakaki family. She's also, first and foremost, a human being. In the course of a life filled with painful events completely beyond her control, she very nearly lost sight of that, but it's an absolute fact. Right now, this girl's lost the ability to live on her own terms. So until she can find her answer, I'll just have to keep her safe. Now that I've made that decision, I'm not going to back down, no matter what comes next, even if my own country comes after me. Let's go, Yumiko. Sakaki reacts strongly to that word. I haven't used her name since the day we reached our first weary truce. Today, I'm breaking that seal. It's the clearest way I have to demonstrate how I see her now. Come on, Yumiko. I bring my hand still closer. I think she understands. I'm not talking to the daughter of a railroad tycoon or an antisocial problem child. I'm talking to a fellow human being. And because she understands, her face grows all the more uncertain. A part of her is questioning whether she deserves this. Yumiko. Instead of saying, "It's alright," I call out her name and push my hand forward. Sakaki's breath catches in her throat. She moves her mouth slightly without producing a sound, as if to practice, and then, somewhat hesitantly, she speaks.
いいの本当に
Yes.
分かったわ
Yumiko nods and takes my hand. At first, it's a gentle, hesitant touch, but soon her grip grows firm. I clasp her hand tightly in return and draw her up out of her seat. There will be others coming soon. We need to hurry. Leaving her by the hand, I exit the plane by the escape chute. A quick glance around suggests no one's pursuing us yet. Still, I leave at a run, pulling Yumiko along behind me. It's the first time I've ever really held the girl's hand. It feels slender in mine, surprisingly small. From now on, I'll have to lead Yumiko safely forward, shielding her from danger. It's a serious responsibility. I knew that from the start, but right now it feels terribly real. Having someone to protect really weighs you down, Asuka. Was it like this for my master when she pulled me along all those years ago? Right now, Yumiko's small hand feels unbelievably heavy. Can a piece of trash like me really carry this kind of weight? I can feel doubt oozing out of me like sweat. That's no good. It'll only make Yumiko uneasy if I start brooding. Shaking my head a little, I resettle my hand around hers. A tight grip so that it can't slip away. Beyond the quickly parting clouds, I can see the sky gradually turning to red. Night will be here before long. What is going on? A field of light stretches out endlessly before me. Why does he want to take her to America? It's such a pure and brilliant light that it seems like my fingers will melt away if I reach out and touch it. But that's not really an option in the first place. My body feels like it's buried under layers of mud. Even the slightest movement is frustratingly difficult. It takes all my effort just to lift my hand a fraction of an inch. Who's there? I can hear a voice at my ear. No, maybe it's coming from inside my ear itself. I can't even tell. It's a woman's voice, not particularly gentle, but very familiar. Is she speaking a name, telling me something? I want to know, but the words fade in and out of audibility, slippery and evasive. My hand finally moves. I grope around above my chest, trying to grab hold of the voice. Speak more clearly. I want to hear what that voice is trying to tell me. I want to know where this strange nostalgia is coming from. But soon enough, I find my hand mired in the mud once more. Maybe it was wrong of me to try in the first place. Maybe I don't deserve to hear those words.
Oi, Nii-chan!
A shout from overhead breaks me forcibly into the dream. The field of light in front of me gradually takes on shades of blue. I try to move my hand to shield my eyes from a dazzling spot of light, but there's something soft on top of my body that gets in the way. What is this? As I pull the lump of cloth off me and examine it through bleary eyes, the man standing over me takes the cigarette from his mouth and answers in a slightly exasperated tone of voice.
Mofuだよ、mofu。兄ちゃん、このクソ寒いのに半袖で寝てただろ。それで、半場のおばちゃんが持ってきてくれたんだよ。
I see. It is a bit chilly, I guess. The sun's certainly bright enough, but the air's far from warm. My sleep-fogged mind takes a few seconds to recall the date and my current situation. It's November. Having lost my previous occupation several months ago, I'm lying on the ground outside my new workplace, apparently at the end of a brief nap.
もう昼休み終わっぞ。ぼちぼち準備した方がいいんじゃねえのか。
Right, my apologies. The worker stubs out his cigarette in an ashtray nearby and smiles wryly down at me.
兄ちゃん、お前若いのに俺の親父みたいな喋り方するな。
That a fact, I'm not really doing it on purpose.
だとしたら、前の職場なり学校なりがえれえ厳しいところだったんだな。親父さん、教師でもやってたのか？
Oh, nothing like that. But the person who raised me was a little unique.
じゃあそっちだな。まあ、こういう職場なんだしよ。もっと気楽にやれや。な。
Dumping a hand onto my shoulder, the man shakes me back and forth in what's presumably intended to be a friendly gesture. Right, my apologies.
言ってるそばからこれだよ。いっけね、始まるぞ。ほれ、行こう。
Yeah. I got the helmet lying at my side and head for the site at a jog. The sun, already falling lower in the sky, gently warms my back. I'm so confused. What is going on at all? What did they want to do with her? Bye!